Hello one, hello all, it is the gothiest ghost of them all, Caspa in the flesh. It's time for a review of Nas, King's Disease 3. Nas is a legendary Queensbridge rapper, bringing out some great albums over the years, such as The Ultimate Illmatic, It Was Written, Untitled. Stillmatic is good, but when we got 2010s, oh, the 2010s, Nas was not putting out his best, if I'm being honest. I didn't care for Life is Good. I didn't care for Nasir. And the Lost Tapes 2 was an unfortunate discovery for me. Because what always drove me to Nas was always his street poeticism, his introspection, his storytelling. And as long as that was compelling, as long as that hit, that drew me to Nas. Or how creative he was from rapping of other perspectives, which we will get into later. And I don't feel like I got that, and I definitely didn't get that great of production either, unfortunately, or some features I didn't necessarily care for. Now, with Nas though, I definitely regained my faith in Nas again once I heard King's Disease 1. Sure, not one of his best, but definitely better than like his last few albums. And it gave me hope again for Nas's output of the 20s. And lo and behold, I was right, because I did enjoy immensely and put on my favorites of the year list of 2021 King's Disease 2. Great album. And then we got Magic, which I wasn't really a huge fan of, but definitely had some good tracks on there. And now we're at King's Disease 3. And honestly, from a production standpoint, from a written standpoint, this is Nas's best in a while. And I loved King's Disease 2, but this is probably his best King's Disease album. Not only is like he coming through with some very clever bars, very clever introspection, nice storytelling, a precise flow, and street poeticism is definitely here. It's just more from the perspective of someone who's been through it now. Nas has definitely aged. He's had these experiences, and now he's bringing them to the forefront, combined with his knowledge of now and mixing it with the present time, and doing it in a very creative way too. On Ghetto Reporter, he just comes through with these bars where he's rapping about black artists in the industry adding art to black music, and A&Rs is coming and exploiting it, with bars like, "I'm praying they said instead most artists don't live as good as the execs and they end up depressed." And it's a very necessary observation. That's one thing, because like I said, Nas is a introspective rapper, very observational, analytical rapper, which I dig, and we're definitely getting that here. And he's showing how the artists who love the art and live for the art and try to make a living off of the art they've put together as a reflection of the reality they live, but now being exploited and capitalized off of the people who are not a part of that and who are just in it for the money, so they're in the situation that they make music about, and the cycle continues. Now, there are other tracks here too, where his observation and even some introspective questions arrive, like First Time, like asking his fans what were the activities they were involved in when they first heard them, what was the situation like, and did it touch you? And I love how he's just opening up more pockets of conversation throughout this track. Like, he's really bringing a very tangible experience here by asking the audience, getting the audience involved, which I think is great. And I'm gonna admit it here. The first time I heard Nas was on the 8 Mile soundtrack. I was in middle school. It was my first time hearing about Nas. Right then and there, I did everything I could to go back and listen to his discography. Fell in love with Illmatic on first listen. Still love that album to this day. But that's neither here nor there. And honestly, I love how Nas also touches on how the undescribable experience of hearing your favorite artist for the first time and having that one experience be a gateway to the gems from there on. And Nas, like I said, has always rapped from the perspective of quite a few things. Some people, objects, be it a gun on It Was Written from the song I Gave You Power, to rapping from the perspective of a conflict such as beef, where he's rapping from the perspective of that, from the dire consequences of that, saying how he's been around for a long time and how he's gotten more and more evil through time due to this grudge, this constructed warlike ideology that has been brought to the forefront. And he thinks we'll never die, and unfortunately he might be right. And if you have beef with me, let me know so we could end this. And just know this is my opinion, and that's all. Micheal and Quincy, he's dropping a lot of clever MJ wordplay here on the back end, with these bars mirroring events of Nas's highlights to MJ's events, like through his career, and also wordplaying his artistry as well. Like the line, like I'm activated, my hair might spark flames, aviator frames, bandages laminates the stage, from a stretcher, a wave. Like, you may have to Google that if you're too young to remember the unfortunate incident that MJ had. But going forth, the bars here are pretty endearing, like going forward. From saying, nasty like Mike on vocals, I overdub it, bouncing off the walls, always starting something. Very clever, very nice. And also comparing Hit Boy to Quincy, from the track being Micheal and Quincy, mirroring those two. With Hit Boy being the producer. And this time around, Nas, he's definitely more slick here, more honest, more self-aware this time around too. Like, he's always been like very charismatic with a mix of aggression and confidence. And that's what I like about here. Like, there's just this prowess, this king's disease just running through this album that I love. And the production this time around, I love it. Like, it definitely complements Nas's style and fits him. It doesn't make things feel out of place. From the soft, soulful, raw feel on these tracks, like the samples range from like R&B to soul to jazz, drill, psychedelic, funk, dance punk from ESG, one of the greats of dance punk. Check them out. And also, as far as features go, there's not really any features, except for some guest vocalists. But rap-wise, Nas is really holding his own here, like he has proven to do in the past. Well, except for Illmatic. AZ was on that, but other than that, like, that was pretty much pure Nas. No famous features. And barely any famous features on here that I know of. Like Recession Proof, Nas is getting like nostalgic once again, where these funky samples in the beginning really paint the picture of a vintage flashback where he's describing the realities he's witnessed as a child and learning from the experience, not making any fatal mistakes strategically, because that one sloppily move could be your final move. Hood to Hood has like this West Coast feel to it that I love. Very glossy synths on here. I'm on Fire has like these gracious soul samples that just have these grand regal horns with these fuzzy drums that just slap on the track. And I just feel like I'm floating and just looking at my adoring public on some real King shit. Once a Man, Twice a Child has these funky bass lines with these psychedelic synth leads across the track. Very hypnotic, very like intoxicating, with a beautiful sax solo on the back end. My gripes, I don't really care for the tacky beat switch on Reminisce. I feel that track could have been good. Very loungy R&B type track, but the drill beat on the end, man, it just sounds so tacked on. And I wish there were more moments where Nas was a little more versatile. I do understand production-wise it could be versatile, but Nas has touched on these before. So I do wish he would have gone the distance a little, and even vocally too. I don't feel like he's one note on here. I do feel like he switches that up, but I don't know. I kind of wanted a little bit more there in that respect. Also, there are some lyrics that don't really land well in certain contexts, like WTF SMH. Like OMG, all they do is LIE. I'm LMFAO. It's just hard to take seriously. You know, like when you're trying to touch on an important matter and make yourself this prominent figure on a track, but then you're using like silly abbreviations. It just comes off silly, in my opinion. Also legit, another great moment on the track. He's on the album. He's talking about like progressing from the position he was once in, from selling drugs to now making a living and success off his career in music as an artist, and also sharing the systemic oppression view with the incarceration agenda, and also saying how that could lead to a trap, so he wants you to get away from that, as he was told he wouldn't prosper, but now like he's moving more successfully, and he's sharing that. And also Thun has like a moment of introspection that I dig. You know, just sharing a bunch of reflective bars from the beginnings and subtle references to his career, like his beef with Jay-Z, texting him ironically that this ain't over. But yeah, the album has a strong beginning. Wish it had a stronger ending though. But other than that, I feel Nas definitely sounds more hungry on here than ever. I do dig Nas's step towards creativity on here. I dig the bars on here. Production's great. You know, and like I said, this is probably his best King's Disease. And I'm feeling a 4 black hearts out of 5 on this one. But that's just my opinion. What did you think of this album? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? And that's it. Stay tuned for the next review. Caspa, Gothic Ghost, Nas, King's Disease 3. Till we meet again.